getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna...
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. This is episode 12. As usual, I'm your host, Scott. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarbChairScott. You can follow this great company that supports this show, that produces this show, HNB Media at HNB Media TV on Twitter, and it's at HNB Media on Instagram. Of course, you can follow my company, the Barberchair Network, at BarberchairNet on Twitter and Instagram. You subscribe to our Patreon right now, patreon.com/Barberchair Network, man. Happy Justin Fields Day. Happy National Justin Fields Day. Even though it is, of course, when we're recording, this is a Wednesday. It is the first official day of fall, but it's 100 fucking degrees out here in California, in Los Angeles, and I got this hot ass jersey on, where it's to support my quarterback. Is officially here. We're gonna have my brother on later in the show. We're gonna talk about everything that's going on with Justin Fields and the Bears heading to this week's matchup against the Cleveland Browns. But let's start the show off with my sound off, man. I'm gonna start this off with a little baseball, man. Let's talk about my Chicago White Sox. Today they will have an opportunity to clinch the AL Central Division Championship. To be their first AL Central Division Championship in 13 years. 13 years. That's the longest gap between division titles in White Sox history. And this will be the first time in our over 100-year history as a franchise we're making the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. All that's crazy. All that's good. But let's get into a little bit of things I'm worried about. Now, the playoffs are just a couple weeks away. The White Sox will be in a best-of-5 series. That's the gift you get by winning your division. They will not have to be in a one-off wild card game, thank God. But I'm worried. I'm worried about this team. Tony La Russa, who is the team's manager, he has adopted the load management tactic that you see in the NBA so much, really the second half of the season. And you know, I understand it because this team has been ravaged with injuries. Like, this has been the most injured team in the majors by far. I even seen a stat the other day that yesterday against Detroit was only the 4th time all season that we've had our best hitters in Eloy Jimenez, Yohan Moncada, Jose Abreu, Luis Robert, and Yasmani Grandal all in the same lineup at the same time, which is a ridiculous stat. But so, like, I get it, but this is not a turn on and off situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not something where if there were a veteran team like the Dodgers or the Astros, I wouldn't have a problem with them, pretty much saying, oh, we'll wait till October comes. This is a young team, and to be real, this is their first real playoff experience. Last year was a weird year. It was the bubble style playoffs. It was the first time you had a wild card series, which was the best of 3. It was in Oakland, but there wasn't a damn stand in the fan. It wasn't that loud, raucous crowd you would get in the Oakland Coliseum as usual. So I don't really take much into that season. And honestly, if you look at it, it was a 60-game season, and it was 102 games that we didn't play last year because of the pandemic. And I truly believe that team wasn't deep enough to make the playoffs. I do think they would have collapsed. So I'm not taking much stock in the team being prepared like that. And there's one thing with baseball. It's really about timing. Even look at the Dodgers 2 years ago. The Dodgers were like 110-50 or something like that, and they won their last 7 series heading into October, and they lost in the first round to Washington. So it can happen. This team can go in October and turn it up. I might be looking here a month from now as they're getting ready for Game 1 of the World Series, which is on my birthday. That would be an awesome birthday gift to have my team in the World Series again. Won't be as great as 2005 since they won on my birthday, but I'll take it. So who knows? Maybe a month from now they'll be getting ready for Game 1 of the World Series, and I'll be sitting here looking like an idiot. I would love that, but I just don't like the urgency in this team. 27-28 since the All-Star breaks, not a good record, but Tony La Russa has also been a guy who he's been on both sides of the spectrum. He's been a guy who's had the top record in the league and still won a championship. He's been the guy who their team went 35-39 the second half of the season, but they still went out there and won the World Series in 2006. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Even though I was not a fan of the hiring, like I've said many times before, I think Tony La Russa has done a pretty damn good job managing this team for the most part. My questions in was never his managerial, him being a good manager. It's just, could he relate to the players? To me, it was kind of be like if Phil Jackson came out of retirement and coached a young ass team, because, you know, there's an age gap, but he's done well on that. And the White Sox, they have the talent. They've got the pitching rotation. They've got the talent on the offensive side to go out there and win the World Series, but it's not going to be easy. You're going up against a team in the Houston Astros who's run the American League the last 5 years. So you really don't need everything, man. So I'm nervous about it. You know, I'm concerned about it, but that's why you play the games. And MLB, the playoffs is a toss up. No matter if you cruise into the playoffs or you slumping. So we'll see. But I will enjoy when the White Sox win their division this week. It's been a while, and I advise all White Sox fans to enjoy it anyway, man. So don't let that bring you down. But let's get into my rundown, man. Week 2 of the NFL season is in the books. You know, tonight is actually the start of week 3. Will be the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans facing off. Another blah Thursday night football game. Who knows? We might get a good one. Last week we did not expect Washington and the Giants to be a good game. It came down to the wire, but it was. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to talk about my top 3 storylines that stem from week 2. The one, I want to talk about the NFL officiating, which might be, I'm not gonna say it's the worst in sports, because I do believe MLB has the worst officiating in sports. I mean, they need to get robot umps, please, for the love of God. These umps don't know what a damn strike zone is. But the officiating this week was about the taunting rule. And I came on the show a couple weeks ago when it was announced that the NFL was going to crack down on taunting. We saw at least 4 or 5 of those penalties, which were big penalties in these games. The Bears had one, the Ravens had one, and I even think we saw one in the Seattle-Tennessee game. And I just don't like it. I don't like it because you're taking the fun away from the game. You're taking the energy away from these games. Now, this is not a thing where, you know, you can't celebrate in the end zone. There wasn't any penalties for that. There was multiple end zone celebrations. But, you know, they're getting flagged for you being in the opponent's face. And I don't like that. It's an aggressive game. It's football. It's the most dangerous game out of any sports. It's basically war, legal war on the field. You know, it's pretty much what it is. So you want to see that type of urgency. And if you're a defensive guy, you make a big tackle, you make a big interception, and you want to get up in your defender's face to know you're the one who did that play. That's what I want to see. The fans like it. It gets you up. And of course, when you're in the moment, you know, if you're an athlete, you're in the moment. I'm pretty sure you're not thinking about, oh, let me not get a 15-yard penalty and, you know, and be all up in my opponent's face. That type of stuff has got to stop. And we saw it be real influential in a lot of these games. I mean, I think it was Seattle. They lost a lot of yardage when they blew that lead against Tennessee. So I need them to cut that out. They've been doing real good on the celebrating thing the last couple of years, even having a celebration camera in the end zone during Sunday Night Football last year, which I thought was cool, and they need to bring back. Don't turn into the MLB by being the old guys who don't appreciate fun. And also, when I saw the reasoning for it, was a whole bunch of isms in there. Where it felt very racist to me when it comes to the celebration things. I don't want to see that. Let's get the taunting rule. Coming into my second storyline of this week is Sam Darnold fake decent? Now, for all of y'all who don't know what fake decent is, if you're not from Chicago, fake decent means you all right. You know what I'm saying? Is he all right? You know, he looked like hot ass when he was with the Jets. And I think it's peak Jets that Sam Darnold, who they couldn't get to work for years, goes to Carolina, looks pretty good, and then your prize quarterback, Zach Wilson, throws 4 interceptions against the New England Patriots past week and hasn't really looked that hot in his first 2 starts. Now, granted, he's a rookie. Even though I'm not the biggest Zach Wilson fan, I think he was drafted way too high. But he's still a rookie. He's got to get the kinks out, even though a lot of those interceptions were very laughable. Looked real Jake Cutler-esque. I was getting PTSD watching them throw those balls, but it would be peak Jets that happen. But if you look at what's going on with the Panthers are 2-0 right now, tied for first place in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they get to play Houston. They're going to be playing Houston without Tyrod Taylor this week. So they have an opportunity to go 3-0. Sam Darnold, he's got 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been very, very accurate, making good plays. And I think what you're seeing here is what a running back can help a quarterback. He's got arguably a top 3 running back in the league with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has really helped him, look like a more efficient quarterback. When you have a better running game, the defense has got to honor the running game. It's going to give the quarterback better looks. And I got to give my hats off to Sam Darnold. I'm not going to, crown him yet and officially say he's good. It's only been 2 games. Defenses will address. He will play better teams in the rest of the season, but I like what I see so far, man. So I got to give it to Sam Darnold. I hope he keeps it up. And we're going to see what's going to happen with that. My last storyline from week 2 is the AFC West wide open? Now, coming into this year, everybody was talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, per usual, as you should. They've run that division. They've run the AFC the last 3 years. But look at the rest of the AFC, man. The Raiders, 2-0. You got the Chargers are 1-1, and then you've got the Denver Broncos who are 2-0, who actually have a little bit of offense now. Now they've got Teddy Bridgewater. Now I will say I still do believe Kansas City will win this division, but if you look at the Broncos and the Raiders schedule, they got a pretty easy schedule in this first half of the season where they can, stack some wins up and make it close they possibly can going into that stretch run. I still think it's going to be between the Chiefs and the Chargers, but it's going to be really interesting to see the Raiders, coming out with 2 wins. I had them starting 0-2. I did not see them beating Lamar Jackson and the Ravens week 1 at the crib. And I damn sure didn't have them going into Pittsburgh and still in a win. They went out there and took advantage of that. Derek Carr has been pretty serviceable. I still don't think he, is anything to run home about, but I got to respect him. Thing with Denver, got to get my hats out to Vic Fangio, former Chicago Bears defensive coordinator. Fangio, that defense is always pretty good, but Teddy Bridgewater gives that team something they've been missing since Peyton Manning. Now, of course, I'm not comparing the two at all. As somebody who has watched Teddy Bridgewater in my division, he's hot and cold. I actually call him Teddy Midwater because you never really know, when you think he's going to be great, he goes back to being mediocre again. So you've got that thing going with him. But if you look at the quarterback, Drew Lock, people hype Drew Lock because he was white boy sitting on the sideline like Jeezy. Who gives a shit? So he looks much better than them. He gives them a chance to score points, and that defense is gonna always keep them in the game. So as long as Teddy Bridgewater can make plays from here and there, it's going to be good. And I think it's a good placeholder for Denver for what I think is the inevitable, which is Aaron Rodgers becoming a Denver Bronco next year. So I think it's gonna be a division that you got to watch to the end of the season. Now we already knew that their NFC counterpart in NFC West was going to be the gauntlet that it is now. That whole damn division is 2-0 outside of the Seahawks. So it's gonna be something to look forward to, man. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to love watching Chargers Chiefs this weekend. So those are my top 3 storylines coming into week 3. Let's get into my predictions recap. Now I had a much better week this week. Last week I went 7-9. This week I went 11-5 in my predictions. Negro dominance is looking pretty good right now. That takes my total to 20-12 on the season. So listen to me when I tell you who to pick in these games. When we come back, we're going to have my brother on. We're going to talk about the Bears, and then we're going to get into my top 3 must-watch games for this Sunday. And now, man, it's time for our weekly 79th and Halas Minute. Man, as usual, we're going to bring my brother Flows in. We're getting ready for week 3.
Shut up, nigga. It is special. Justin Fields is starting. I ain't got time for you to set up your own show. I'm happy. It's a good day. I know Pav's in the background. What up, nigga?
Can we relax with the N words?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's relax here.
What's up, my black brother?
What's up, my black brother? So what were you saying, Pav? What?
I was saying hello. I was greeting my fellow Negro.
But happy Justin Fields Day. It was announced. Of course, you hear this is Thursday. It was announced today, that Justin Fields will be the starter on this Sunday for the first time. I'm very happy about, when they do the pregame props and they're like, we're getting ready for a game in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield. And they're like, Khalil Mack. There's no defensive guy in the picture anymore. That's what I'm happy about. We got different quarterback matchups. Tell us now, of course, you haven't been to Halas Hall yet this week, but What have you gotten from watching the press conferences that we saw today from Nagy, from Justin, and Cole Kmet was up there cheesing like a motherfucker? What do you think the energy is in this team now that Justin's the starter?
Well, I will say I will be at Halas all Thursday and Friday, and I will also be covering the Bears game from Cleveland. So look out for that. Look out for our coverage. My first road game literally ever. Even when I was covering with the Bigs, I didn't cover a road game. So this is a big opportunity for us in our company. But what I saw, funny thing is I saw the tide changing once Andy Dalton got out. And I saw the exuberance with which the players were playing. Now, of course, I don't know the minds of an Eddie Jackson, a Khalil Mack, or David Montgomery, and Allen Robinson, and what they're thinking. But body language tells a ton. It's like if you're not doing your poker face, your body language can tell how you're feeling, and it's excitement. You see the kid go in, and you see them excited on it. That being said, Andy Dalton was excited too when Justin came in that second half. It wasn't no hateration in him.
Yeah, NFL Films picked up him being on the sideline. I think that was pretty dope to see. He was really happy when he sealed the game with that first down. I will say this about Andy Dalton: he's a very likable guy. He's a likable guy. Like I can't get mad at him. Like even when he got hurt, I was not. I think that was the one thing I would give the Bears fans. It wasn't a yay, Andy's hurt. No. It was one of those, damn, I hope Andy's okay. But with that being said, it is time.
I mean, what I saw during the game, especially with them, in big ass binoculars I had, I can literally look down and see the expressions were this like excitement, because at the end of the day, Matt Nagy, Andy Dalton, the defense, the offense, special teams, every coaches, all the personnel know Justin Fields is the future of your team. Even if Andy Dalton stayed healthy, he would have a season and then that's it. And then it's going back and Justin Fields would be your starter. So what I saw is like, man, the future is here for them now. Unlike with Mr. Trubisky, which, not many fans or players probably expected the Bears to get. Justin Fields was, when you found out Bears were moving up, everyone knew.
Everybody knew. It was like
Justin Fields time. When you saw Eddie Jackson, he's like, man, we got ourselves a QB. He was about to say finally.
He said we got a real, you know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? He was excited. And so, from the press conferences, it's hard to tell how their faces are. It's usually, I like to see how do they feel when they walk in? What's their energy? Because
Cole Kmet was happy as hell.
He's
like, I'm doing that. I'm doing extra spins this week.
He's probably happy to start getting some targets. That's what he
exactly.
But on top of that, if you are a Buckeyes fan, you know how much Michael Rucker meant to the Buckeyes' success. Justin Fields loves tight ends, so I would say I can understand why Cole Kmet was excited. He loves himself some Justin Fields loves himself some tight ends. But what I saw was just this exuberance and this excitement. The future of your team is now. No more waiting, but it's happening at the present moment. It's dope.
So now let's get to what Mr. Word Salad said today. He said that, Justin's the starter, but when he's healthy, Andy is still the starter. Now, it's a couple things I'll say about this. One, I speak fluent Nagy, which I've been able to speak for a couple years now. Matt Nagy is a liar. I've been saying this forever. So I'm not taking any type of stock into what he says about that, because number one, it's a bone bruise. I think Andy's going to miss at least a month. They're saying it's going to be week to week, and the non-contact bone joints are the worst ones. So, but, and even if and when Justin struggles, because he's still a rookie, and like I've been saying, all week on Twitter, we talked about it on 2 Minute Drill this week. He's freshly 22. He's going to make mistakes. We maybe saw him make mistakes in this Bengals game. So I just don't see a world where he brings Dalton back in. Now, if Justin goes out there and balls out, that's why I actually like what Nagy said. This is breaking news. I actually like something Nagy said. Because if Justin plays well, you're like, well, Justin is, he's playing really well. We're gonna roll with him. Kind of gives him a nice little, pocket there. And Justin plays bad. I don't think it'll be bad. I don't think it'll be Zach Wilson. I just don't see you taking your young guy, putting him back in, and you putting Dalton in there. That would be even too much, even for the Bears. What do you think about what he said today?
It makes sense, because you don't want an injury to be, especially if a player had a pretty solid. At least the second game, Andy Dalton was not playing bad. He wasn't going crazy like people thought he was, but he wasn't playing bad either. You don't want it to an injury for you to immediately say, Justin should start for the rest of the season. That'd be a weird thing for a coach to say. That would be, especially if you're Eddie Dalton, you're thinking, okay, I never had a shot. I never had a shot to stay as the starter. So it would have made no sense whatsoever for him to say that. So I understand him saying Eddie Dalton is a starter. That being said, bone bruises, I mean, it's weird. It can take weeks. It can take months. You know, if you got a really severe one, it will take months. So I don't know. You know, the fact that they said, I don't know if they ever said, what was the
They said it's week to week.
Week to week. Yeah. I first thought I said day to day, which I would have said you're lying. But yeah, week to week is the best way to deal with it because bone bruises they suck, they hurt, they're nagging, they're lingering. I played with a bone bruise when I was younger, and it kept me out significantly.
We gotta play the coach music.
I'm sorry that I was the only athletic one in the family. But I played with one, and it took me out of training camp for about a month because it just sucked. It just hurts. And when you're trying to put some real weight on it, it just stinks. So I understand, completely. I understand the process of it, but I also understand why Nagy is saying what he is. If Justin Fields goes out and does an exceptional job, you're not going to put Andy Dalton back in. You'd hurt your offense at that point.
Right, exactly. And one thing I did like, Coach Komet said, we're going to play hard for him. So I'm expecting a different kind of energy from the Bears offense this week. And speaking of offense, let's go into this game. Now, of course, we're going to do our full breakdown preview on Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershop Network for our weekly game previews this week for Bears Browns. Now, despite Justin playing full half last week against Cincinnati, offense was still buns. Offense put up 206 total yards, which is terrible. Only scored 13 points. The other 7 came from Roquan Smith having that pick 6. Now, Justin's got a full week with the ones. He's going to be in practice. Because really all the pressure's on Nagy now. You can't use Mitch as an excuse anymore. This is the guy, the franchise guy that you've drafted. We got to see some offensive moves. So what do you think this team can do this week against a very good defense that you can still make plays on? Look, Houston made plays on them this week. What can you expect for them to do to put up more points, especially with a rookie quarterback?
Well, the thing about saying Nagy has no excuses, he has none. He's been through Mr. Trubisky, Chase Daniels, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, and now Justin Fields. Those are five quarterbacks. 5 quarterbacks with very distinct styles of playing, very different styles of play. If you couldn't make it work with 5 of them, you can't make it work, period. Yeah. My assumption, for what I see and, coming up with the Bears and what will make it completely different, obviously, is his elusive ability and his ability to change the game. But that being said, his arm is stronger than everybody's on the team. Well, I don't know if it's stronger than Nick Foles. Nick Foles' arm is still great for his age and just strong in general. But I think that Matt Nagy has to turn everything loose at this point. You can't be afraid to baby him. You have to make sure also that he is aware of his check downs. He is aware of, you're putting in some bubble screens. You're putting in some actual screens. You're making sure you're shifting up with insides and outside zones. You're making sure you put him in a position to succeed. I was watching Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, and all of his passes are like 15 or more yards. Yeah. It's like he's looking for chunk plays every play. That just don't work. It's a recipe for interceptions, which is why I'm pretty sure he's leading the league right now.
Well, it's also Urban Meyer is a domestic terrorist too. I mean, that's also, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
I don't know if it's a matter of he doesn't know what he's doing because he's coached football for so long, but the NFL level is different than the college level.
Yeah.
Where in Florida and with Ohio State, you can get those chunk plays. You can get those. You're not getting those in the NFL that often. Defenses will make you pay for that. So take the underneath. And I think this is a good time for Justin Fields to be aware of his underneaths, but also continue what he did last game. We talked about, okay, the Bears offense didn't put up points. The Bears had an opportunity to have 14 points off Justin Fields' drive. You had an Allen Robinson miss drop that awful and inexcusable, but at the same time, he doesn't do it often.
I will give A-Rob and Darnell Mooney the benefit of doubt because I still think they were shocked that they had a quarterback that can actually put it where they can catch it. I'll give them a week.
I'll give them that. But that being said, he would have had 2 touchdowns, 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
Some people were saying, if he would have had those touchdowns, he would have been throwing as much. That's also true. They probably would have just been running the ball.
Ran the ball. Yeah.
But in that situation, which I understand, Matt Nagy, you had to throw. You know what I'm saying? You have to throw because they know you're going to run. So I would not expect him to come out and just be lights out. If he did, then the more the merrier. But very few rookie quarterbacks do that. It takes some time for you to grow into the person that you are. But Matt Nagy has to make sure he's like for real with David Montgomery, he needs to get 100 yards this week.
David Montgomery is the quarterback's best friend.
He needs to get they saw a video on Twitter where Jason Peters is old and still knocking folks over. Yeah. The offensive line, I'm pretty sure the Bears are ranked top 5 with I think it was a metric of success on the offensive line for run blocking. Let Demo run it. Let Demo run the ball and let him carry the load for a young Justin Fields. And then when Justin Fields has the ball, man, find these people open. Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney. I like how Darnell Mooney's press conference, but Darnell Mooney's press conference had a level of exuberance I don't really see from him that often. I don't know if it's because he was a rookie last year and now he is a veteran, but he was like, yeah, I just got to play better, man. I'm looking forward to doing it again. I think he realized, okay, the ball is actually going to be in my hands now. I'm not going to have to go crazy to make an insane catch. So it's up to Matt Nagy to lead Justin Fields to the valleys of success. And once that happens, then I think the Bears offense will climb out of the gutter that it's been in for forever.
Outside that 1 year with Trustman.
Absolutely.
But as usual, man, this is the 79th Halas Minute. This is sponsored by Harold's Chicken. I don't know which one because I don't know if 130 is still going up, but we'll find more about that. But of course, tune in. My brother will be in Cleveland this weekend to cover the Bears Browns game. You can check out the preview pod on Saturday. And, of course, our recap pod every Monday, man. You can follow him at Flows and Delaney on Twitter and Instagram. Follow 79th Halas, the 79th A&D Halas on Twitter. And we'll have you back on here next week. Now, let's get into my top 3 must-watch games for week 3, man. Let's start with my third, with the number 3 most-watched game of the week. It is the Bears and the Browns, man. The Justin Fields debut. As you see, I got my Fields jersey here. It is time. The chosen one. The prince that was promised, as I like to call him. He's going to be making his debut start this Sunday in Cleveland. And I think it is poetic justice. It is chef's kiss that he makes his debut in the state that he made his name as a college player, and that is Ohio. I'm looking forward to it. The Browns had them, they have not been the team that a lot of people, and I won't say we because I didn't think they're going to be as great as a lot of people thought they're going to be. There are a lot of people expecting them to be, blowing a lead against the Chiefs at home in week 1, and then pretty much letting Houston, they're playing catch up against Houston all fucking last week in their home opener. So that defense can have some plays made on them. Tyrod Taylor and Houston were doing that very thing. But it's going to be a good matchup to see, man, with 2 young quarterbacks. I'm just very excited that, when they do the head-to-head matchup, I don't have to see Khalil Mack's face or another Bears defender face in the ad. We got my own quarterback now. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's definitely going to be good to watch. So Baker versus Fields. Tune in for that one. My number 2 must-watch game of the week is the AFC West clash that I alluded to earlier in my week 2 recap, and that is Chiefs and Chargers. It is at SoFi Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. It will be a great game. Jay Herbo and the Chargers coming off a tough loss last week against the Dallas Cowboys, but he's going to be ready to bounce back, and it's going to be good because, it's a little rivalry going on here right now between Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Mahomes was talking a little spicy during the offseason, like, this is my block, you know what I'm saying, and I want to see you do that shit again. So it's time for Jay Herbo to go out there and see what he's got. I do think that I've seen enough. I think he's generational. I think Justin Herbert is generational talent. There's only one quarterback over the next decade who I would take over Justin Herbert, and that just happens to be the quarterback he's going to be facing this week, and that is Patrick Mahomes. I'm interested to see that. There's going to be a lot of points being scored. The Chargers defense has the issues. The Chiefs defense is flat out god awful. So that's going to be definitely an interesting game to see. And also, no, that game will be in Kansas City, not SoFi Stadium. The game that will be in SoFi Stadium will be my number 1 game to watch this week. That is the Los Angeles Rams hosting the GOAT and the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week in LA. And I did not know in his 22-year career, this will be the first time that Tom Brady has played a regular season, has played a game in Los Angeles. So that's going to be good to see. That's going to be my number 1 because this is a real litmus test for the Rams here. This might be an NFC title preview. A lot of people have them in the NFC title game. I'm not one of them, because I still think Matt Stafford is Matt Stafford. But this is a real litmus test for them. Can they go out there and beat the champs? The champs are going to be without Antonio Brown. He's on the COVID list right now. So they can, take him out of there. But they still got weapons. Still got Mike Evans. Still got Godwin. Still got Gronk. So it's going to be a good game, man. I think that's the number one thing to watch this week. And, Brady loves coming in and crushing hope. There's one thing he loves to do. You give the GOAT a challenge, he's going to come out there and take advantage of that shit, man. So those are my top 3 games to watch this week. The NFL, man, I got to give it to Goodell. I got to give it to the Shield, man. These first 2 weeks have been awesome. Awesome. If you want to hear, more in-depth breakdown on week 2, you can listen to the new episode of 2 Minute Drill, which is on the Barbershop Network right now. This week we had our guest JJ Stankovic from the Indianapolis Colts, writer for the Colts. He joined us. Real good talk. That's actually on your streaming feeds right now, so you can check that out. But let's get into my week 3 predictions for this week, man. Like I said last week, I went 11-5. I want to go higher and see if we can go 12-4, 13-3 this week. So let's go with the first game on tap tonight, Thursday night football, man. I'm going to go with Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey, and the Carolina Panthers to go 3-0 as they will get a dub over the Houston Texans. Of course, there will be no inmate number 4, Deshaun Watson. He is still on the non-playing list for obvious fucking reasons. And Tyrod Taylor has injury. He will not be playing this week. I actually think he's placed on the IR. Don't quote me on that, but I think he was. So I'm going to go with the Panthers over that one. Next game, the Bills off a nice a nice bounce back win against the Miami Dolphins. We'll be going up against the Washington football team. Taylor Heineke era. Heineke had a great game last week, come back and winning against the New York Giants. Can he do it again against a tougher defense? I don't think he will. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to go 2-1 on the season and win this game. Then we've got the game Browns versus Bears. Now, of course, we'll go real in-depth on a 79th and Halas preview podcast this week. I'll give my score. But I still think the Browns are going to win. I think the Browns are a better team, despite, us having Justin Fields. The offense got to show me something. Can Matt Nagy scheme this team up to score more than 20 points? They got to do better. Much better defense. Put up 206 total yards last week, 13 points against a mediocre defense in Cincinnati. At home, it's not going to cut it. You got Myles Garrett. You got that tough defense who's going to try to go out there and make a statement, not only because it's a rookie quarterback, because I'm pretty sure they feel a little embarrassed what they let Houston do to them last week at the crib. So I'm still going to roll with the Browns. I'm not with the Browns for this one. And, check out a more in-depth breakdown of that this week on 7 the House, and we'll give our scores. Ravens and Lions. Ravens, nice comeback victory at the crib against the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar Jackson finally getting a win over Patrick Mahomes. That was a great showing for Lamar. Yeah, some questionable throws, as usual. You know what I'm saying? I always say my biggest critique of him, I think he has a hard time reading defenses. But one thing I'll never take away from Lamar is a fucking playmaker. And he will get it done, whether it's in the air or with his legs, man. And they're going to go against the Detroit fucking Lions, who, if there's one team who makes me feel like, shit's not that bad when it comes to my football teams, not a lot of them. The Detroit Lions are one of them teams. That is a sorry-ass organization. I don't care what coaches they got there. It's the same shit. Fake comeback against the Niners 2 weeks ago. They're fake competitive against the Packers for like 2.5 quarters this week. But I think they're going to get steamrolled. I think the Ravens are going to take care of business, and they're going to go 2-1 on the season. Titans and Colts. First AFC South matchup between the two. Titans having a nice comeback win last week in overtime against the Seahawks. The Colts, they're not going to have, it doesn't look like they're going to have Carson Wentz this week. He fucked up both of his ankles last week against the Rams. So I don't even know who the hell their backup is. Even if he was starting, I would take the Titans, but without Carson Wentz, I got the Titans big in that one. Chiefs and Chargers, I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. They felt embarrassed with letting Baltimore come back and beat them on Sunday. And, I feel like they're going to go out there and, have something to prove. And I feel like Justin Herbert's going to put up a good show. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth game, but I do think their defense, led by Tyrann Mathieu, as bad as it's been, they've gone up against two of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. They're not going to have that problem this week against the Chargers. So I do think they're going to go out there and get that W. Patriots and Saints. This one I went back and forth on. The Saints are a real, I think they're going to be a real Jekyll and Hyde. I fucked up name. Dr. Jekyll and Hyde ass team this week. Just the season in general. They looked good 2 weeks ago against the Packers. Looked terrible against the Panthers last week. But Patriots have a better defense. Matt Jones hasn't been great. He's been real. I won't say he hasn't been great. They haven't been letting him do more than they want him to do. He's been real game manager, but he hasn't made any mistakes. So I think that'll be the thing that takes him over the top. And I do think that this defense can pick Jameis off a couple times. So I'm gonna go with the Patriots. Falcons Giants. This is a terrible, terrible fucking game. This one could really go either way. They're both god awful, but I've got way more faith in Matt Ryan than I do in Daniel Dimes. Who listen to me, Giants fans? I've been trying to tell y'all, not just on this show, but on every podcast since that boy was drafted. You do not draft quarterbacks from basketball schools. Trust me, I know. As a Bears fan, watching a quarterback from a basketball school, that does not work out. Daniel Dimes is fucking terrible. I don't care that he had a so-called decent game last week. I don't buy it. That kid stinks. And, as bad as the Falcons are, I still trust Matt Ryan more than him. So I'm going to go with the Falcons over the Giants this week. Bengals going to try to bounce back from that bad showing, worst showing for Joe Burrow in his pro career, throwing 3 interceptions to the Bears last week. They're going to go to Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals because another injury report. Ben Roethlisberger is questionable for this week. We don't know how he's going to play. And if he does, he's been, not the Ben that we have known of old. So I'm going to go with the Bengals, a nice little bounce back victory for them. Cardinals, Jaguars. Listen, Kyler fucking Murray is the fucking truth, man. That game against Minnesota last week was one of many very entertaining games we've had in these first 2 weeks of the season. But Kyler, he just, first of all, just the way he runs in the pocket, it's like he can escape everything. He just be throwing that ball up there, but it's a beautiful spiral every time. He's got great receivers that get it there, and the Jaguars fucking stink. So I think the Cardinals in the easy one. Broncos, Jets, another blah game. This is if you're Zach Wilson and you had the game that you had last week against that Patriots defense where you threw 4 laughable interceptions, I damn sure don't want to see them dogs in Denver. I think it's going to be another long afternoon for Zach. And I got the Broncos going 3-0. So both West divisions looking hot right now, man. Raiders going to Miami to play the Dolphins. Tua's not going to play. So many damn injuries quarterback-wise this week. Tua's not going to play. I think the Raiders going to go out there. They're going to go 3-0. I think they're going to have a solid showing. Derek Carr have another good game. Bucks, Rams. Like I was talking about in my top 3 games to watch this week. This is my number 1 game to watch this week. I'm going to go with the Bucks. Go with the Bucks, man. This is Tom Brady loves situations like these. He loves taking the hope of a team that's trying to get a big win over him and ripping their fucking heart out. And Tom Brady has 9 interceptions in two games, which is, come on, man. Like, he had 40 touchdowns last year. I think he has a legitimate shot to throw 50 touchdowns. At age 44, that is, what are we doing here, man? It's the point where it's like, who did he sell his soul to be playing this damn well at his age? But I'm gonna go with the Bucks. I think the Bucks are gonna make more plays. I think the defense is gonna pick off Stafford a couple times. Like I don't believe Matt Stafford. I really don't. I don't think he's bad. I definitely don't think he's as bad as some people think. There's people who think Matt Stafford is trash. I am not one of those people. I think Matt Stafford is a good quarterback, but that's where the buck stops. I don't think he's a quarterback that takes you over the top. And honestly, I'm just gonna say it might be a little hot take. I don't see the hype in Sean McVay. Everybody loves Sean McVay. I want you to look. I've asked this question on Twitter last 2 weeks. Nobody's tweeted me. Put in the comments. Tell me why Sean McVay is a good coach without mentioning his fucking age. I don't care. He's 35. Explain to me why he's a good coach. I'm waiting. Somebody tell me, man. But I'm going to take the Bucks this week. Vikings, 2 crushing losses back-to-back. They've showed up in both of them. I give it to Kirk Cousins. Been pretty decent. Pretty decent these first 2 weeks. Justin Jefferson is a dog. And I would be worried about having him in my division for the next decade if they had a great quarterback. But fortunately for us, they don't. So I don't lose any sleep over them. 2 terrible losses to the Bengals and a terrible loss last week against the Cardinals. That missed field goal, which I laughed for about 10 minutes after that shit. They're going against Seattle. Seattle trying to not go under 500. But I think it's the Vikings home opener. I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think I just can't see the Vikings going 0-3 to start the season. I just can't see, especially they've been in these first 2 games. So I'm gonna go with the Vikings for this week. I think they pull that out. Sunday night football. Waiting all day for Sunday night. One of my favorite MAGA classics, because she definitely sounds like, she's saluting Trump. Carrie Underwood every time she sings that damn song, but I love that damn song. It's going to be the Niners and their home opener, open up against the Green Bay Packers, man. The last couple times, Aaron never plays well in his home city. And also, I just don't believe in the Green Bay Packers. Now, obviously, if you're going to think I'm biased because I got a fucking Bears jersey on, I'm a diehard Bears fan and I hate the fucking Packers, obviously, but that's nothing to do with my hate for them. I watch the games. I have not been impressed by these first 2 games. Obviously, they got their ass kicked by the Saints. And you don't impress me by being a Detroit Lion. Detroit Lions is shit you're supposed to do. It's like when dudes want credit for being a good father. You're supposed to take care of your damn kids. I'm not giving you what you want, a fucking cookie. So I don't care that the Packers went out there and beat the damn Lions. Show me something. I got to see, what they're going to do this week against the Niners. They can go out there and beat the Niners. I might start believing in a little bit. But going with San Francisco. I think San Francisco gets the dub. I think they move to 3-0. And now for Monday Night Football. By the way, Monday Night Manning has delivered back-to-back weeks. I love Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. It's great. It's great banter between the two. You can really see the brotherly love between the two. I didn't know Eli was that damn funny. Peyton is a football savant. I was not a Peyton fan when he was playing for 2 reasons. One, I'm a Brady guy. Been a Brady guy since I was in 7th fucking grade. So on that, I was always Team Brady. So I was never a Peyton fan. Also, Peyton Manning is responsible for the worst day of my life when he beat the Bears in Super Bowl 41. But he's a likable guy. He knows everything about the fucking game. It's been a joy to watch. So I'm looking forward to them breaking down this. This is my favorite division, the NFC least. I love how much these fan bases fucking hate each other. So the Cowboys, who they're making me look pretty stupid. I won't say make me look stupid, because I did say the only reason I didn't pick them to win the division was because I didn't know how healthy Dak Prescott was. I guess the Cowboys were in line. Dak looked pretty healthy to me these first 2 games. So this is going to be a good one. The Eagles are, they're 1-1 right now. Jalen Hurts is going to be on the big stage, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys move to 2-1. It's going to be a nice little showing for them in Jerry World, man. So those are my week 3 predictions, man. Went 11-5 last week. Let's see what I can do this week. And now we're gonna get into our gambling with Mikey segment of the day, man. It's week 3. It's week 3, so let's get into it, man. Let's bring him in and let's talk about it. What's going on, bro?
What's the word, man? What's going on? Happy National Justin Fields Day.
Happy National Justin Fields Day. It is a glorious day. I've got this hot ass jersey on, even though it's 100 degrees out here. It feels like in the valley, but we are here. But let's talk about it, man. Week 3 in the NFL. How did your week 2 bets go? I see you're not in the car anymore. You're in the house, so you must have won something.
Man, we went once again 1-2. Shout out to Eddie Jackson once again. He fucked us week 1 as a Bears fan. He helped us on week 2 as a Bears fan, allowing Jamar Chase to get that meaningless touchdown in the end. That pushed us over our 53.5 yards receiving. So that was the only bet we hit. Jonathan Taylor receptions. He went from getting 7 targets and 6 receptions week 1 to one target, 1 catch week 2. So I don't know what's going on there. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he killed our parlay, man. That was the last leg we needed. We needed the Chiefs. So hopefully this week, man, we could push it to over 500. We could get some wins, man. Right now, the followers have just broken even. If you've taken every bet, you've just broken even. You haven't made any money, really haven't lost any money. So I'm trying to put some money in everybody's pockets, man.
Yeah, losing any money is never a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Never a bad thing in gambling. But what's some of your odds for this week? What's some things you're looking at heading into week three? We got a lot of nice little good matchups going on this week. So what are you looking at?
Yeah, we do, man. We do. I'm gonna stick with some player props this week. I know tomorrow's game might be an eyesore for a lot to watch. You got the Panthers and the Texans, but I really love for our first play Robbie Anderson over 44.5 receiving yards. So far, man, the Texans have been more competitive than I thought, especially going there with everything with Deshaun, a lot of turnover. But in week one, they allowed 4 players to go over this number. Robbie Anderson in his last 17 games has gone over 44.5 receiving yards 13 times. He's 10-1 over his last 11 games, going over 44.5 receiving yards. I mean, he could get this off one play. So I really like that. We're going to roll with that one. The second one, man, this game is definitely it's going on the second TV. It might go on the first TV. I can't do red zone for this one. Chiefs Chargers, man.
Woo, that's gonna be a game right there, dog. I'm glad that's in the late. It's in the late time slot, right? Yep.
It's in that 4 o'clock over for me in the East Coast.
So it'll be after Fields Baker, which is good because I need my full attention. I ain't got to watch Sunday Ticket because they're in the LA market this week, so I won't be 2 plays behind.
No, you good, right? You tapped in. That's the worst part for me, man. I got to watch everything streaming, so I got to. Yeah. My phone is like this down, so I don't.
Right, me too. I don't tweet until commercial break.
Yep, same way. But Justin Herbert, man, Jay Herbo, over 291.5 passing yards. He's 2 for 2 on heading over this mark this year. He's already thrown for 330 yards twice the first 2 weeks of the season. Last year against the Chiefs as a rookie, he went over this twice, 2 300-yard passing games on their head. And I love this, man. The game script kind of calls for it. Chiefs secondary isn't really that good. You got Patty on the other side, so you know it's going to be a shootout. And actually, if the Chiefs come out to a big league, I think they're gonna play a little angry. It's a divisional game. Oh
yeah, they pissed off on Monday.
They're pissed off on Monday. They had that game in the bag. Patty was talking a little spicy about Justin in the during the off season, saying you got to show me.
Right. Do it again.
Do it again. So realistically, I feel like this number's so low. Last week his line was at like 303 yards. This year is 291. So or this week is 291. So I think we're gonna go with the over 291.5. Whether they come out, if they fall behind, he's gonna have to throw it.
Yeah.
So I love that, man. The Chiefs are third in the league in the most yards given up in the passing game. So I love that, man. And the second one, we're gonna stick with that game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was on my shit list Sunday night, but right now his rushing line is at 51.5, which is really low. Chargers might have a good secondary. My man Derwin, you got Asante Jr., but in the rushing game, they got tore up by Antonio Gibson week 1. Last week they gave up over 200 yards rushing to Zeke and Pollard. Even though Clyde hasn't taken off like they thought he would after coming out of LSU, I think this line is still super low. It might be a sweat, but I think he could get us 13 rushes for 60 yards. So we're going to take the over 51.5, and we're going to ride with 3 player props this week, man. Hopefully they come through for us because these games, fluky shit happens. Like, look at the Bears game. Look at the Bears game.
I thought we was going to get the fucking demolished last week. Like, I did not see that happening at all. Defense said, fuck that, I'm back.
Yeah. I mean, but from a gambling aspect, it was Bears minus 3.5 to start the week. They were winning by 17 points in the fourth quarter. The Bengals end up coming back off some, the Justin turnover, late touchdown to Jamar Chase. The Bengals end up covering. So, if you took the Bengals plus the points, you came up on some money at the end. So that's how these games go. A lot of fluky shit. We seen it with the Chiefs game. If not, that parlay would have hit. So I'm gonna just ride with the player props, man, and I'm gonna refresh the ESPN app all weekend and see how we doing.
And you can also follow him for, for up-to-date shit, if you want to see what else is coming up. So but let's pivot to some other talk real quick. Now, of course, when everybody sees this on a Thursday, so the White Sox have an opportunity to clinch their first AL Central Division championship in 13 years. And I looked up something which is crazy as hell to me. Not only will this be the first time in our over 100-year franchise history that we're going to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, this is, since the division era started, the longest gap between division titles in White Sox history. Of course, remember the 83 team, which is one of La Russa's first teams. There was a 10-year gap between the Batman and Robin teams of Frank Thomas and Robin Ventura. Then there was another 7-year gap with the kids, with Frank and Paul Konerko, Mark Burley's rookie season. And, of course, we all know what happened in glorious 05 when we won the whole damn thing. And 08 was the last time. So let's talk about how fucking long ago that was. I'm going to be 33 in a month. I couldn't legally drink yet the last time the White Sox won the fucking division. So, but I talked about this early in the show. They're crawling to the finish line. Like Tony La Russa's bringing that low management aspect that we see from the NBA into this one. Well, they really haven't looked like they tried. Are you concerned, like I am, heading to October in a couple weeks?
I am. I'm not gonna lie, man. I am. I know I was, throughout the season, I was telling you, chill, patience, long season. It really matters what you do after the All-Star game. And I'm just not really liking what I'm seeing with this team, man. I'm gonna give us the benefit of the doubt. I think yesterday it was like only the 4th time we've put out like that main core lineup
which is crazy.
Which is crazy. In
162 games, 4 games with our 5 top hitters in the lineup.
So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt there. But between the load management, between some of our arms going down, having to put in spot starts with Jimmy Lambert, Raylo, and he did well, man. For the most part, I won't shit on him, man. He did well. Yeah. Outside of that Red Sox game, that's a top lineup in all of baseball. But I'm just a little worried, man. I'm just a little worried. I don't see that sense of urgency. We're past the dog days of baseball. That's late July, early August. Yep. Now it's all right. Let's get healthy, which we're trying to do, and let's put some good at bats together. Eloy slumping, no Andrew Vaughn. Dealing with that bad back. So I'm a little bit nervous. I would say if we have to go on the confidence, out of 1 to 10, I'm at like about a 6, and I think the 6 is still because we're young and we're so damn talented. They're super fucking talented, but I'm definitely nervous, man. I'm definitely nervous. And I see, we're going to start Rodon Tuesday to see how he is. Part of me wants to say, don't even do it. Give him that extra time.
I see both sides. Like I see what you're saying about don't do it, but I also agree with what Ethan Katz is saying. Like you don't want him to be rusty going into October either. I do think they're going to watch him very carefully. But when La Russa came out, said he's concerned, that like raised the red light for me. I know Los went up there, was like, I'm fine. That's Scott Boras talking because, he's going to be a free agent in a couple months. He wants to make everybody know my arm is fine. You can still pay me.
Exactly. You know what, man? Tuesday, if he comes out and he could give the team 5 innings and he looks good, I would say, all right, cool, that's enough. Let's show with his arm. Let's bring him back because we're going to need him, man. Because if not, you're looking at possibly bringing Lance Lynn, in the first round, Lance Lynn on short rest, or having I don't want to have to watch another bullpen game in the playoffs with this team.
Ooh, like we did last year in that Oakland game. Ooh.
I do not want to have to see them go, I really don't want to see Dallas Keuchel. I don't want to see a Dallas Keuchel Raylo game 3, game 4. I really don't.
I don't want to see them anywhere but in their playoff hoodies in the dugout.
Yep, exactly. You know what, man? Build up those arms and get ready for that next round. So definitely. Let's see. Like I told you, what was it? There's about 11 games left. I need over 500. I preferably like to see that team 3 games over 500 to end the stretch. Get through this weekend. Hopefully, who knows? Today might be a blessing that the game was rained out. So, let's see. I want, how with the Cubs, it was with Dexter Fowler, he go, we go. TA leads everything off for us. He does everything for us. So I'm really worried about TA. I want them legs going. And, Eloy, he's slumping, man. He need to grow that mustache back.
Yeah, he definitely look like he need to put that shit back on. But yeah, let them know where they can follow you at again, man. So they can stay up to date with any other bets you might have coming up in the week.
Yeah, definitely, man. You can follow me on JR_Solito on Twitter. That's where I'm gonna put pretty much all my bets. We still got some stuff on Monday night, Sunday night. It's early in the week, so definitely check back. Like I said, I'll post something. You can retweet it, and let's cash some money, man. Let's get these checks.
Yes, sir, man. We'll holler at you next week.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
Now, let's get into our Goofy Mog of the Week as we wrap this week's edition of the show up, man. I'm going to give my Goofy Mog of the Week to the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, NBA training camp start next week. Teams are going to start reporting. Media day, a lot of media days next week. The Lakers are getting ready for theirs. LeBron is taking the Lakers on a 3-day mini camp in Vegas to get them ready. A chemistry camp, as he calls it. I like that. I think it's cool for a veteran to do. Get the guys together before you get around coaching and shit like that. So I like that. And they're going to need that because there's a lot of old guys on that team. Lakers are a very interesting team this year. I don't really know. We'll get into that when it gets closer to the season. But my Goofy Mog is the Sixers because Ben Simmons came out this week, said he's not reporting to camp next week, man. He's not reporting to camp. He is threatening to sit out the entire season if he does not, get traded. He still has 4 years left and over $130 million left on that deal. And I'm going to give Mog to the Sixers because, yes, I think Ben Simmons is extremely overrated. I'm not mad at the Sixers for wanting to trade him, and I'm not mad at Ben for wanting to get traded and saying I'm not fucking coming because of this reason here. The Sixers are the Goofy Mog of the Week because they're playing this, they're fucking their hand up. You're lowering his value. You lowered his value by openly talking shit about the man in the press. The comments that Doc Rivers had after they lost to the Hawks, the tweets and the stuff from Joel Embiid and the comments like that. What are you doing? You're lowering his fucking trade value. And then to have Doc Rivers on First Take today, a day after the demands that Ben Simmons had, is his ass backwards. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So, to me, it's looking like I don't even know what you can realistically get for Ben. Now, I will say Ben is going to get traded. We've seen this story in the NBA for a decade. For a decade, disgruntled superstar wants to get traded, it always fucking happens. So I do fully expect him to get traded. I don't know where he fits. I mean, there's different teams being laid out there, but I just think the Sixers are playing their hand wrong, and I think that this could affect them in their return they get for Ben Simmons. And I do feel like they could have been more professional about it. Say, we'll reevaluate everything in the all season. We still love Ben. He's still part of our team. We're not going to say anything about that. And instead of going up there saying, I don't know if he can win a championship without Ben. Like, Doc is a veteran coach. He's a championship coach. You got to know better than that, man. So I'm going to give my Goofy Mog of the Week to the Philadelphia 76ers organization for the whole way they've carried this whole thing, man. But this has been another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, episode 12. We'll be back next week. I'm looking forward to talking about a bit of NBA talk, man. We got training camp coming up, man. So look out for that. Follow me on Twitter at Barberchair Scott. Follow HNB Media, HNB Media TV on Twitter and HNB Media on Instagram. Follow Barberchair Network at Barberchair Net on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Barberchair Network. We out. We'll holler at y'all next week.
Getting paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line.